Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Paul's Monday Market Update for Monday, 29th of January 2024. I hope you're all well. Hope you've had a good weekend and are ready for what is likely to be a rather eventful week ahead. Before we kick off, it'd just be great to know that if someone can confirm that you can see the slides and that you can hear my voice, so that we know the technology is working fine, and then we'll kick in. For those of you joining us for the first time, okay, the Monday Market Update. Thank you, Peter. Monday Market Update is literally just a race through markets over the next 25-30 minutes. We'll look at the sort of strength and weakness within FX markets. Always have a look at a few charts that might be of interest, either as opportunity or as learning points, and then we'll have a look at the live markets. As I say, it's a race through as much as I can get through. It is not a trade signal service. It is not a recommendation service. It is purely my view of what's of interest to me, and that might be of help or use to yourselves. As always, you're very welcome here. Just remember that you are always responsible for your own trading decisions. If any of you want to know how I particularly trade or what the VTP is, well, then you can contact me, or there's an offer there. All right, so you can take that on board. Should you wish to, there's a QR code there. And as always, I do on Monday afternoons, 2 o'clock London time, I do a webinar for active trades, Monday Market Matters, a bit of news, a bit of education, a bit of look at live markets. Today, we'll be talking about the importance of utilizing checklists in your trading. So the QR code there, if you want to join and want to get details or want access to the recordings, you can do so by clicking on that there. Right, let's kick into the main story though, which is about looking at markets. And I appreciate if you're new to trading or if you're new to joining us, this might maybe look a little bit overwhelming or intimidating, but it's not really. Once you get to know it, this is the analysis that I do every weekend myself, where I look at the what I call the STAM, where I'm looking for the strength, weakness, and momentum, primarily within FX markets, but then also in indices and commodities markets, so that I can effectively focus on where I want to put my most time, energy, and resources for the week ahead. So we are already into week 5 of the year, last week of January, and into February as well. And so that means we've got a fair bit of data, a fair bit of things going on. And as I said, I think it's going to be a rather eventful week, but more of that later. As always, I'm just trying to identify where's the strength and where's the weakness. And what we've had is Swiss franc has bullied its way back up to the top of the pile, where it has been for on and off for the vast majority of the most few months, and it has knocked sterling down into second place. Now, if you remember, we talked most of this year so far about how sterling has climbed its way up there, but I wouldn't necessarily say it was off the back of any real strength in sterling per se, more about weakness in other currencies. And I think we'll get some clarity on that later this week. Of course, we have not only do we have FOMC on Wednesday night, but we also have Mr. Bailey in the Bank of England on Thursday. I think what we'll find is I don't think anybody's expecting any kind of massive change, okay, or any particular cuts. So, of course, if there was one, then that would, of course, send the market into a bit of a tiz. But I think most people will be just looking to see what's the kind of guidance, or what are the notes from those two meetings, and I think that will have an impact. Certainly, that will have an impact upon markets and gilts and yields and also sterling. So I think by the end of this week, we will have a little bit more look on that sterling strength, whether it's been maintained, and also that dollar strength. And I think as we look at the live charts in a few moments' time, we'll see both sterling and dollar, and most others have been a little bit. Once again, they've kind of gone back into slumber mode over the last couple of days, and I suspect that's what will happen until we get this slew of data out this week. With regards to euro, we've also got a fair bit of data coming out of Germany and Europe this week over the next couple of days, and people are expecting that to confirm that basically, Germany, Eurozone have been in a technical recession, and that probably will reflect upon elements of the euro itself. There's some comments yesterday from one of the, I think it was the it's the head of the Bank of France. I forget his name and stuff, but he was saying that basically, Eurozone could basically cut at any time this year and what have you, sort of trying to put pressure on Miss Lagarde at the ECB, but we shall see more about that. Yeah, all right, okay. Regardless of what's been going on there, it still remains firmly rooted in the bottom of the pile. Okay, the sort of as with Aussie and Kiwi dollar, Canadian dollar has remained strong, and that we'll have seen that in gold holding up, but also primarily oil sort of having a nice bump. And if you remember last week, we talked about West Texas and Brent and about how they were looking for support, and we were expecting a bit of a bullish move, and that's what we got and stuff. And so we can see that. When you look at over what's going on in the last 24 hours, all right, euro has weakened. That'll be off the back of those comments there from the Bank of France governor. And also just a little bit of a little bit of a bump up, okay, in both Kiwi and Aussie and stuff from those piles, but I suspect that is just that's just a little bit of a reaction more so than telling us anything really of interest. When I look at the individual currencies, all right, there's a lot of them now operating in various different environments. And what is interesting is that we can see there's lots of buying environments on sterling, whereas euro is quite mixed. There's some buying, there's some particular selling, and then but what we can see is also a little bit of mix on some of those condols, but primarily mostly to the selling side. When I look at indices, the price action, okay, the price action is bullish, but the momentum hasn't been following it through on that, okay, and the price action might reflect that when we look at that in a few moments. Nikkei, okay, remains strong and bullish. FTSE actually had a weirdly good week, all right, which is rare as we know. Gold is in a kind of a tactical short, okay, but along with silver being strategic short. Bitcoin has been a tactical short, but actually I would suggest looking at the price action, which we will do in a moment, that's a little bit mixed there, okay. The price action isn't necessarily flowing through on that, but we'll look at the price action there at the moment. So not a massive change, okay, in terms of where the strength and weaknesses within FX markets, not really, but I suspect by the end of this week, which I think is probably going to be the kind of the most interesting week that of the year so far, we'll have a little bit better idea on terms of the narrative and whether FOMC, whether Mr. Powell, Mr. Bailey are going to push back on the sort of the market's narrative has been about cuts will come and cuts will come sooner than people expect, whereas it'll be interesting to see whether Mr. Powell and Mr. Bailey push back on that. I also think we've got some really big earnings news coming out this week. So the kind of Magnificent Seven, which some might say is what's been A, holding markets up, B, driving them to the new highs. 5 of them will have their earnings this week. So we've got, I think tomorrow is Microsoft and Google. And then Thursday is, I think it's Apple, Amazon, and Facebook. And it will be interesting to see how that data came out, because we had Tesla's last week, and Tesla's share price was, kind of hammered a bit off the back of that. But I'll be interested to see how are we looking after those 5 earnings reports. That will have an impact, I think, on markets as well. So there are a lot of variables there which could all be catalysts for either to maintain the narrative or to change the narrative. So it is a week for managing risk and keeping your powder dry and being on top of the news releases as they flow out to us. Okay, so charts of interest. So I always put up a couple of charts of interest that, just as I said, that could either be a learning point or a point that you might want to add them to your watch list and keep an interest in. We have been looking for the last few weeks about the American indices all hammering to new highs, okay, and being pushed higher. Whereas actually what we've seen, that has not been the case everywhere else. And this is the Hang Seng, okay, Hong Kong Index, the weekly chart, and what you can probably see there is from where we were a few years back, okay, where we were well above 30,000, 32, 33, 34,000. That story certainly over the last 2 years has been pretty weak story, okay. The sort of effect of the kind of effect of COVID in China, and also the markets and the economy, okay. And we've also seen stories about really high levels of youth unemployment, etc. we looked at it last summer and stuff where we came down to 15,000, all right, and we bounced off. We had a little bit of a dead cat bounce, but you can see for yourself again, okay, that has basically been drifting its way down. And last week, we got down towards not as low as the low of last summer, but certainly down to that big number of 15,000. Okay, and so that's been quite some trend there, as you can see over the last sort of 6-7 months easily in the way that has worked its way down there. And so it's a reflection on it's a reflection on many things, I think. Not only is it a case of the big picture about China and people being a bit worried about it, but then also elements of things like people moving out of Hong Kong, people becoming a little bit wary of the influence of the overall central government, etc., and that having an impact there, and also that kind of, you might say, that trade war that's ongoing there with between the US and China, etc. So it has been a great trend down. And as I always say, I'm always interested when price gets to particular levels. How does it react? What does that tell me and stuff? And so, as I said, we're here at that big number, 15,000. Are we going to get another bounce? Because certainly the Chinese government have been hunting short sellers, okay, and talking about huge capital injections to keep markets afloat and going in the direction that the party wants them. So will they do that, or will that be will it be false and stuff? And will we either hang around 15 or break beneath it? Okay, so as I said, I'll be watching that, okay, just to give us a bit of an insight into what the story is there. Right, moving on to who else did I put into today? Euro STOXX 50. Okay, so it's not something we really look at a great deal, mainly because for the most part, I mean, the Euro STOXX is a reflection of the 50 biggest European stocks by market capitalization. It rarely differs from the DAX because it's made up mostly of lots of the stocks within the DAX 40. But what we can see is last week was a very good week for you can see for stocks there. Okay, much more than we saw in terms of like DAX and other European markets. And as always, as I said, I want to see how does price react at particular levels. And so we had these levels here, which in the previous time we had bounced away from, but then we broke through, and then you might say that is it's a very scruffy, not terribly pretty bullish flag, but bullish flags above, breaks above recent highs, with the pin bar there, it reflected its way and followed its way through there, and it's kind of interesting to see that despite the kind of news that we're seeing about the German economy, that we see the overall Euro stock there, and it's been a little bit of Germany has been a sick man of Europe, but there have been other, let's say, glimmers of hope within other parts of Europe. But it will be interesting to see whether it can continue that. Can the DAX follow that? Okay, can the German economy sort of pull its way out of there? So as I said, it's been a great that is a learning point there about bull flags above recent highs. Okay, is a great little learning point and a great way to use bull flags in your trading. Well, looking, some might say it's another version of flag. So this is UK government bonds, 10-year gilts, okay, yields on that. We don't really talk about it a great deal. I don't consider myself a bond specialist. There are people out there who can give you far better insight into bonds than me. But I'm a trader. I like to look at a chart but whether it be treasuries or gilts, etc., they can be enormously helpful in helping you confirm moves in both the indices and in the relative currency as well, in this case in sterling, etc. So we have seen sterling strength at the start of this year, haven't we? And that has also kind of married up quite nicely with a bit of strength there within the yield. And what we've done is we've got back to sort of 4% levels here. And the reason, as I said, I'm interested is that we're up here at a big round number, okay, at the 50, the 20 is here, the kind of, we've put a little bit of a rejection kind of there, and then of course, as I said, we've got Bank of England on Thursday and Mr. Bailey's comments and stuff, and so I'll be interested to see, is this a case here of, there's going to be some comments or some news here that would basically, if it pushes it, down, okay. If we go bearish, that will of course be bearish for sterling as well. What is Mr. Bailey either going to say or do that could change that particular narrative at the moment? So we're at I would see this is a point, we're at an inflection point where it's going to have to make a decision. Okay, it's going to have to make a decision, and that's when I start to get interested, because, well, primarily as an FX trader, that will have an impact on the way we view sterling. As I said, sterling has been strong, but I wouldn't exactly say it's, as I said, it's mostly due to the weakness of others more so than the strength within the UK economy per se. And yeah, I think this, just the last to finish, is, as I said, we've got a lot of those tech earnings this week, but we had one last week in terms of Netflix. I'm sure some of you will be users of the product, etc. And it's been kind of an interesting turnaround there from that end of 2021, where we had really we had a huge big tech high, tech high, and then we basically fell away down, put in that kind of weekly double bottom, and we have just ground our way up, as you can see there, but that had kind of accelerated there. We had a bit of what was that? Well, it's effectively a bull flag there. You might be saying there's a couple of bull flags there, in that particular uptrend, and that bull flag was ended, or rather kicked off, by the big bullish key reversal engulfing candle off the 50 period moving average. But you can see for yourself that basically rallied its way up strongly last week and rallied it up to around about this 570 area, which had acted as resistance stroke support in the past. There's a bit of a gap there, so we're out there. So now, as I said, I'm interested to see what's it going to do. Was it going to continue up there and then turn that resistance into support? Is it then looks to push its way towards that kind of 700 big round number? Is that what we're going to see, or alternatively, is this just a bit of a flush, and then we nudge our way back down to 500? So we're in a space over the next couple of weeks where we'll see how that reacts, and that's what I'll be interested to view how it does that. Okay, there you go. So as I said, I always put just a couple of charts of interest in. You might want to add to your watch list, or you want to just learn from a watch. But let's switch across to the live charts now. So just bear with me a moment, and we will switch across. So just bear with me a second, ladies and gentlemen. Right. Okay, let's bring this up. Okay, so I'm hoping that you can still hear me. Hoping that you can see the charts now. So this is it's just an indices profile, and what we've got here, Dow. Okay, last week was it's a bit of a spinning top, right? But it's still pushed and closed at highs. Nasdaq, okay, it pushed and closed higher, but it's a pin bar there. It's a rejection candle there. On the daily chart, it was like a double pin bar there. As I said, I think we will just basically drift until we start getting the data. Okay, Tuesday, Wednesday, that's where and then NFP on Friday. I think I wouldn't surprise me for us to drift there until we get data there that supports the narrative or changes the narrative. S&P 500 still closed higher. Okay, still pushed its way up there. Okay, and as I said, I think it's all the same for all of these. Certainly for those three. Russell, on the other hand, we pushed down, and then we bounced, and we came back up to 2,000, haven't we? We're just pivoting around 2,000 again. That's the way I look at it. Okay, and I'll be looking to see, well, all right, here the way I look at this is the 50 acted as a really nice bounce there. That's a really nice bounce off the 50, 3-bar reversal, rejection, up to 2,000 and the 20 period moving average. Okay, see how they react at a distance. And so my view would be is that we are getting towards a point. It's an inflection point here. We've got 2,000 and the 20 above, the 50 beneath. We're coiling up before we make a move at the end of this week. Okay, and that's what I'd be getting ready for. Just watching to see how that particularly looks to play itself out. As I said, we looked at the Euro STOXX 50. Euro STOXX 50 shot its way up, but whilst the DAX had a bullish week, it didn't tease its highs, its all-time highs, etc., and what have you that we've been seeing here. It hasn't followed through. Okay, it has been bullish there. Okay, but but not in any way like the Euro STOXX 50 has. Okay, and maybe that's just a reflection that, as I said, the good news is coming in other parts of Europe rather than Germany. If we look at, as I said. FTSE got itself back up above the 50, but what do you know? It's in that range. It's still just mincing around in that range there. Okay. Yes, we had some good news there. And yes, there is, I'd be looking at that saying there's clearly buying support there. Okay. But is this a pump before a dump on Thursday? That's what I'd be looking at that now. I'd be holding fire until I see what Mr. Bailey's got to say. Nikkei, despite, its run last week, once again, that is a bearish momentum reversal candle there. Okay. That's, I wouldn't be saying that that's just the top, but, clearly, it's watching that. And as I said, I think we'll get a better understanding of the narrative by the end of this week. Oil. Okay, remember we said last week, we talked about how it'd been getting support of the 200. It was coiling up, and bosh, that's what we can see there. Okay, probably helped by, more of the shenanigans going on with Yemen and Iran and Gaza, etc. But you can see for yourself. Last week, we called it that we were expecting it to get above and move, and that's what it did. It flipped the 50. Got above it, came back, tested it, and went its way up, and it continues to be kind of bullish in that sense there, right? So, that's what we were expecting. Looking at gold in the weekly chart, we're staying above 2,000, all right? Last week was an inside bar spinning top, but when we look at the daily chart, a little bit of a gap up on the open today. We're still holding above 2,000, but once again, I'd be looking at is that price coiling up now, waiting for us to get some clarity, okay, from FOMC and from the JOLTS tomorrow and from NFP before it decides where it makes the next move, and that is reflective, and certainly in the last week or so, of what we're looking at here on the dollar. Silver, it puts in a nice momentum reversal candle, rejection candle of like $22, but it's still. The pictures for me there is not as clear as it was on gold, but in the same way, gold holding above 22,000 is good. Silver holding above 22 seems to be the support there as well on that. As I said, Bitcoin, but I've got it on here. Yeah, Bitcoin here, weekly chart. We had that huge big false breakouts there. Okay, and got giddy, and then price fell down. We had the big round number of 40,000, and we also had an imbalance here. There was an imbalance, which was also a gap. Okay, in the daily chart, and we came back in it. We filled the gap, and then we bounced up. And now on the daily chart, we're underneath the 50 and the 20 days. Does it have enough to push its way back through, or is this a bit of a dead cat bounce before it rolls over? Is this going to be? Will this be basically driven by what goes on with the dollar this week based upon the news? All right. So once again, hopefully you can see that we're going to where markets are going to have to start making decisions, and that's what that's where I start to get interested. Okay, where it has to make a decision. Sometimes, as I say, it can be quite clear what's likely to happen. Other times it's not, and if it's not, I'm very happy. My own trading style to let the market play its hand, and then just jump on the trend afterwards. Okay, I don't feel a need to be a hero. Okay, or prove anything. Right, I just want to see where's the easy trade, where's the trade leaping off the chart at me. All right, dollar index. Okay, weekly chart. Weekly chart. As I said, we've had that little bit of bounce there. Okay, this month. Okay, this year has been a bit of dollar strength. Last week, we did, despite a bit of the hokey pokey, we still closed above the weekly 50. All right, on that, we'll see whether it can hold above that this week. It's when I go down to the daily chart. We had a reversal, we coiled up, we exploded out, and then I thought this might be a bull flag, and you can see it just, whilst it has pushed high, it's pivoting around that daily 200. Okay, pivoting around that weekly 50 there, isn't it? If you look at that for how many trading days? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So about 8 to 10 trading days. We're just pivoting, just holding around, pivoting just above 103 to 103.40, and I don't see that changing until the next couple of days. All right, personally, I think that we get clarity once we start getting Mr. Powell speaking. That might give us a little bit of insight, and I would be, I don't think I'd see much happening there until that basically changed. And we flip that, okay, and this is kind of an indication of some of the indication we've seen. Dollar against Swiss franc, we can see that a week or two ago we had climbed our way back up above the daily 50, but we've kind of been falling back, skirting a little bit with that little bit of dollar weakness, a little bit of Swiss franc strength, okay, and that's it's the sort of thing that, as I said, pushes Swiss franc back to top of the STAM. But as I said, I think we're coiling up there. But I know I was reading yesterday, as I do, that the Swiss Air Force has basically cancelled all major events and demonstrations for the next 2 years, okay, because they are short of cash, which struck me as kind of intriguing and stuff and what have you. So I don't know what's going on there, but maybe everything's not as hunky dory as people think it is. But anyway, all we're interested in is wait for the dollar to give us some direction here on that. I think this week. If you look at that on the other side, euro against dollar, this has been interesting in that we came down, start of the year. I was saying we were getting squeezed between the 50 and 110, big round number. We break beneath it now. We've been getting squeezed between the 50 and the 200, and hopefully you can see we tried to pop up, but we've got pushed down. We're not, today, all right, we are pushing a little bit beneath the 200, but we've still got the day. That could change. But I'm kind of, there's a little bit of kind of euro weakness there. Okay, and as I said, I'll be just looking to see what that dollar story is. Do we get more dollar strength? In which case, that daily 200 I think breaks and we push our way down. Reflecting the kind of let's say the malaise that has returned. If I look at dollar yen on the daily chart, just looking at that over the last 10 days or so, it's just what we say pivoting around 148 there. Not price action. I wouldn't say that that's terribly exciting. It's just coiling up. Everybody waiting for a FOMC. Same with dollar against Canadian dollar. I might say that that's a double top at the 200, okay, but it's certainly not flowing through after that yet. So I'll be waiting. I think that as I said, everybody's waiting for that. Aussie dollar's a great example of that. Remember, Aussie has been weak down in 7th place, and hence why we've seen Aussie weaken a bit like what we looked at euro dollar. It's sat there, isn't it? It's sat there on the 200, and it was intriguing that if you look at that, all the wicks to the north, aren't there? There's someone selling there every time it tries to push up, bang. And so once again, as I said, I think we wait for some clarity there, don't we? That's the way we look at that. Okay. All right. So that's an insight into dollar. Let's just have a little look at sterling to finish off. Oh, actually, no, I put Swiss franc up here. Okay. And really, all that is just as we're saying. A week ago, dollar and others had pushed above the daily 50, which changed the STAM, but you can see it's slipped down. Same with the CAD against the Swiss franc. Okay, same against the euro against the Swiss franc. Looked as if it was going to strengthen, get above it, but it's fallen away. Okay, so there's I'd say more weakness in others than significant strength in the Swiss franc. I'd say, and I said the same pretty much about sterling. And if we look at sterling, let's start with cable. Sorry, it's a bit scruffy my chart now. I've said for the last few weeks, we've just really been pivoting around about 127, going as high as 127.50, as low as 126.50, and that has continued. Now, last week's was, I'd be looking at that as a bearish candle, tried to push out, and it fell back in. But once again, we've got a week of FOMC and Bank of England, so I don't really. Let's just say that I don't really expect this to be doing too much and stuff in terms of the way it's going to operate. I think we will squeeze here and then maybe get some clarity at the towards the end of this week. So the powder's dry, watching that and seeing whether we get dollar strength and sterling weakness, but taking it back to the 200. That's what we'll be. That's what we'll be looking at. If we look at pound against the yen, what was interesting is that last week we pushed up to the high of 2023, and that was a bit of an indecision candle there. Okay, look at the daily chart there, a bit of indecision there at that level, those highs there, isn't it? Yes, it's pushing back up, but That sterling strength there, as I said, everyone's going to be waiting for for FOMC and for the sterling level. But even euro against sterling is kind of what's been interesting, is that we continue to have that euro weakness, and I think we sort of slither our way down to 85, which has been a pretty significant level, okay, for a while. 85, right, and I think that's where we're about 85.20 at the moment. I think that's where we particularly continue. If we look at, pound Aussie having pushed up there, we are just, inside bar. Pound against Canadian dollar was like, more rejection there. I think we drift to 170. Pound against New Zealand dollar, we pushed up, but there's wicks to the north, and as I said, people are going to be waiting, okay, to see what Mr. Bailey has to say. Okay, let's draw it to a close there, ladies and gentlemen. As I say, I appreciate it's always a bit of a fly through, okay, trying to fit in as much as I possibly can. But I hope it's just giving you a little bit of help, gives you a little bit of insight, giving you a few things you could look at or take away for your own trading. Those of you on the VTP, okay, we'll have our call tonight and also tomorrow. As always, for the rest of you, I wish you the best of success in your own trading, ladies and gentlemen. Have a fabulous trading week, manage risk, and keep on top of the news. And I will speak to you soon. Many thanks, traders. Cheers.